the recording again. Thank you, Candace.
Okay. All right. Oh, sorry. Okay, so welcome to part 2. I mean, I can get long-winded and start chatting, and I think from last time I learned a few things, so I won't be getting into great details. We'll get right to the point because we're neurospicy. So today I wanted to talk about a few things. I wanted to do a recap of of neurosplicing in the workplace and just understanding how to identify, well, not even necessarily to identify, but how to make sure that the workspace that you're in is inclusive for you. So we're going to go over some concepts right now, and then I'm going to jump right into the tools. And I'm going to make sure that I am good for time. So we're good for time. So you guys can see my screen. Okay, everyone can. Okay, so neurosplicing in the workplace. So the main just to kind of overlap, I guess what I was trying to get to, the point is that I've been through so much in my life and was able to kind of succeed because of I was able to kind of succeed through a lot of the adversity just due to community and due to thinking on my feet and kind of adapting to the environments. One of the principles that my sensei would always say is adapt and overcome. And we're kind of getting into that point. I was talking like on my TikTok about how, or no, I was talking on Instagram about how, neurodiversity is for me, a softer way of approaching some of the other harder conversations that we've been having, in regards to patriarchy, misogyny, racism, colorism, and so on and so forth. It's a softer approach because if we're all the same, but we're different, if we're all the same in that regard, then we should make inclusive spaces for everybody, right? Because we've all, sometimes, like for me growing up, like showing up late, oh, that's a stereotype for Black people, so on and so forth. But, when you're neurospicy, sometimes you are late. Sometimes you misspell things. Sometimes, things happen that, you don't intend, or you say the wrong things. So we're just asking for patience and space. And just to recap, that neurodiversity is it is a social justice movement. It's actually advocating for inclusive spaces within the workforce and within the institutions and so on and so forth. So when we say that we're neurodivergent, we're saying I have a specific neurotype. Everyone's neurodivergent. You could be neurotypical, which is the person that the whole world caters around. You could be neurotypical and be part of the neurodivergent squad, but the advocacy places emphasis on the marginalized groups. So, those who have autism, dyslexia, schizophrenia, and there's a lot that falls under the umbrella. And essentially, neurodiversity just means that we're all different and we all have different neurotypes, and and to advocate for that. Now, I wanted to kind of talk about just briefly, just to kind of overlap, or not even overlap, but to get to what I wanted to say last time I was here, is that, we want to embrace diverse approaches, right? Because a way of dismantling patriarchy, the way of dismantling racism is allowing, because we don't even realize, because people are like, systemic racism, that exists? Homophobia, that exists? I thought, it's 2023, but we don't realize that a lot of these mechanisms are actually integrated in our workforces and we don't even realize it. For example, embracing diverse approaches, because quite often we are told that there's a one-size-fits-all solution to solving problems, and there isn't, right? There's actually multiple alternatives, and I actually have if you want to purchase it, but I have I actually show you what it looks like. Hold on a second, let me just go back. I'm just going to go to ChatGPT for a second and then show you this tool. You can purchase it through, I'll find a way to I don't know what the best way to send you the link, but I can just send it to Candace or but essentially I created a script that predicts all alternatives for everything. When someone says this or that, they're pretty much creating a false dichotomy, right? They're saying that only one way works, or the other works and nothing else works. But I have proven through my little system here that I can come up with multiple alternatives to one solution. So, and I created a little script for ChatGPT to allow us to kind of see different alternatives. So I want someone to give me give me a problem, and we'll see how many different solutions we can come with this ChatGPT prompt. Who can see this transcript? Okay.
A problem. Let's say that my problem is that I really want a pumpkin spice latte,
but
I'm too lazy to go and get one.
Okay.
I love it.
A pumpkin spice latte, but I am too lazy to get one. Okay, so I'm going to put that prompt through and then look at how many different alternatives come up for that one alternative. Now, this is my own
Wow.
this is my own intellectual property. I broke things down into states that can't be reduced any further. Like, these states are based on specific words because, dyslexic, we think in three-dimensional space. So, with that being said, I need very specific words that mean specific things. And so this essentially gave us, how many? 30 different alternatives to one. So the first state is clear state, means clear focus. It means that's the first thing that we think of when we're lazy and we don't want to get pumpkin spice. So, take a short walk outside, write things down, deep breath, listen to calm music to reset your mental state. That's what most people would tell us to do, right? But then we go to the alternative state, which is the avoidance state. So I actually don't want to do any of that. So what do? Prepare a different type of hot beverage, right? Try different flavored drinks. Ask a friend or family member to bring you pumpkin spice latte, and so that is the alternative if we want to avoid that. And then the extraneous state, meaning, I don't want to do it, and I'm not going to, ask anybody to do it. So what is outside of my peripherals that would give me some other alternatives? So, what this says is turn off notifications on your phone while working. Create designated works. I think I screwed this up here. Yeah, I screwed it up. But anyway, either way, so the extraneous would normally give you things that are outside your peripherals. So like, Uber Eats comes and, does all that stuff. The conserve state is saving resources and, being conservative, right? Maybe making your own and so on and so forth. The amplify state is, creating, doing something extra, or, using resources or overlapping with other resources to get the same result. I can never pronounce this. We'll call it the reducing state. So removing things, removing tasks and processes.
It's the attenuate.
Attenuate, yes. I always have a problem with that word, attenuate.
I do too. So I learned how to pronounce it just so that if it ever came up.
So, in that state, limit your caffeine intake, use less sugar, There's so many different ways of going about this. And then optimize state, which is, maybe optimizing your situation so you're not lazy. Maybe, changing your diet, your habits, and so on and so forth. So, I have a script that actually can map out like we could take this state and actually go and predictive. And I will show you how powerful this is. I'm going to put that into the chat. And so this is the poor man's version, but this is the autistic brain version, which gives you 216 different alternatives to one solution. And it gives you a three-dimensional cloud of alternatives so that you could predict the future. You would be able to look through this list and be able to predict where the politics is going, what type of innovation's coming next, because I essentially broke down problems in these 36 states. So I won't get into it this time, but if you want to purchase the script, I can give you the script, you know, so that you can solve problems for your clients. But this is revolutionary because this was actually a mentor of mine kind of giving me the idea, because he had bumped his head on the ground and lost his memory. And he had to map, he was a genius, and he had to map his memory back to he had to find a way to map his memory. So he broke things down into first principles, and he reduced everything down to the least common denominator, and essentially created different states based on those terms. So essentially we can create 36 different alternatives per dimension. And when I say dimension, I mean who, what, where, when, why. So it covers all things, all states, and you can pretty much solve any of your problems. And that's kind of how I do business. That's how, when people call me to do consultation, I'm always right on the money, because I know exactly what they want. And I have the grid, the alternatives grid to kind of help me solve that problem. So that's one of the tools that I use. So when people tell you that there's one size fits all, everyone in the chats, is that true? Did we just debunk that?
It's debunked, and I think I'm going to default to amplifying my pumpkin spice at this current juncture.
So the importance of flexibility, just remembering that, you know, life is a negotiation. Deadlines are never kept. You keep them because you've been conditioned to believe that those deadlines are the only option or only way. But I remember working for a Metro Ford, and the sales manager would always come into my room, you know, when I'm selling a client on a red car, and he's like, sorry, we only have black. And having to deliver bad news. Get in the habit of delivering bad news. It makes you human, but also just, you know, when you're neurodivergent, some people may suffer from time blindness. So the idea of you stressing yourself out because your company is not flexible with you is bad. It's not a great practice, because efficiency doesn't always come with speed. You can be efficient in so many different ways. And now with AI, we can be very efficient without having to compromise our own mental health. You know, when you get triggered or get thrown into stressful situations and people are being emotionally abusive towards you and don't want to accommodate your neurodiversity, did you know that that has an impact on your brain the same as you getting brain trauma? So emotional abuse, verbal abuse can impact your brain the same way as getting hit over the head. So it does cause brain damage. So if you are going into stressful situations, if you're going into stressful situations for the sake of, just know that you are harming yourself by doing that. So, you know, it's important for you to advocate and use your voice. And because when you use your voice, everyone else will use their voice, you know, because, you know, the heart resonates, right? When you're leading with your heart, it will resonate and it will impact other people, even if they make you the sacrificial lamb. But you have to speak up about those sort of things, because it does negatively impact you when you get home. The shared decision making. you know, we don't always need to be patriarchy. We can be, you know, we can be a community and all make decisions on behalf of the group. You know, consulting. I remember when I was a manager and asking everyone's opinions for our Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, putting everyone's opinions into that so that the plan of action represented everybody. How many places have we worked where it's the client's way or the highway and no one has agencies? This is my work. This is the time that I put in as well. I am a equal partner in this. And you know, if you're not using the alternatives grid, your decision may not be the best decision, right? So just being able to recognize you know, other people's opinions and make it in a more collaborative space, because this is what fosters, you know, having shared decision making fosters more growth, it fosters more innovation. Because everyone's going to look at things differently, and that's why we're neurodivergent. So we talked about different perspectives. Skill diversification. You know, we're all virtual assistants, right? And the more you know, the more you grow. And the Calgary Library actually gives you a free license to go to LinkedIn Learning and get access to lynda.com. You don't have to pay a monthly fee, and you can get all of your skills. And that's what I do. That's how I've built my career, is just go on LinkedIn Learning, you know, learn a new skill. Right now I'm learning how to write ebooks and learning how to build them and build the EPUB books and so on and so forth. So every skill that you want to learn to increase your pay, go to LinkedIn Learning. It's for free through the Calgary Library. Skill diversification in the sense of patriarchy, and I say patriarchy because it's a top-down approach, you know, usually benefits men and everybody else is everybody else, right? And, you know, depending on where you're marginalized, it has a deeper and, you know, has a worser impact on you and your mental health. So it's always been the idea in patriarchy that only this guy, only Bob can do it. Bob is the best, you know, or, you know, Kelly, you know, like this idea of creating division amongst all of us because you trust that person. Again, efficiency doesn't always need to be speed. You don't need to always run to the person, the expert that is on the team. Maybe get somebody else to do it to get a different perspective, right? So that, you know, like these are things that cause issues, that cause mental health issues, right? When you don't allow people to show different sides of themselves. Inclusive leadership, like just seeing more representation. You know, the thing with representation is that I'm looking at the time. I'm gonna we'll get to the tools in about 8 minutes, but look at me being neurotypical. But
You're doing great, Ryan.
So the inclusive leadership is just ensuring that there is multiple individuals, multiple representation. Because the quickest way, the reason why I pick on patriarchy is because, you know, not because, you know, it is not because I'm trying to pander, right? It's the fact that it impacts me too, and it's not good for me too. And, you know, so I take the approach that patriarchy is, you know, always likes to have a group of individuals that look the same, that are the same. And, you know, because it's easy, efficiency equals speed in their minds. We can't have any other way, false dichotomy. And that's why we don't hire people outside, because we just don't know what it's going to bring. But inclusive leadership allows people to see themselves through the leaders and allows employees to be more responsive to the rules and responsive to some of the guidelines that are set by the companies. And it gives empathy for individuals that have different cultural backgrounds. Like, for example, for me, from the Caribbean, when we get, you know, passionate about what we're talking about, we yell and scream and holler, hoot and holler, right? Having a manager that understands that will say, well, no, Ryan's not, you know, yelling. He's just very passionate, right? And it allows that manager to be able to say, hey, Ryan, this culture, they're very quiet and you're actually scaring her, so you want to tone it down, but still keep that passion, like it's all about having representation so that there's equality and there's and everyone has a voice. So having women leadership, having LGBTQ and having people from different religions, so on and so forth, having that inclusive leadership makes a difference for neurodiversity. Accessibility and accommodations is a right. Do not think for 1 minute that you cannot ask for accommodations to do your job. Ask for the accommodations. If they don't accommodate you, I would fight for it. There's human rights. There's so many ways of going about fighting for your accommodations. You don't need to be diagnosed by a professional to get accommodations. Because a lot of us are self-diagnosed, and that's just due to inequality, right? First and foremost, the Autism Spectrum Disorder only favors white men, doesn't favor women, and doesn't favor people of color. And Latino groups or Latin groups are the least to be diagnosed with autism. So there's a lot of people walking around being undiagnosed with a lot of different things. But when you start doing the research and doing some of the tests and forming community, and you want to better your work situation, you have to advocate for it. So we have to remember, self-diagnosis is valid. If you self-diagnose, you are finding quicker ways for you to get access to help and treatment that you need. Trauma, victims of trauma share similar symptoms as individuals with autism. So when you look at it from that perspective, a lot of medical professionals just want to heal the trauma, or they want to heal the symptoms. It's about treating the discomfort. You're never going to like being neurodiverse. Your brain is never going to change, right? It's developmental. But you can definitely ease the discomfort in your workplace and your environments, right? I am not really dyslexic when I'm at home, because my environment is conducive to being dyslexic. But when I'm out and about, the symptoms, it's all situational and it's all environmental. So, just remember, self-diagnosis is valid. Advocate for yourself. Make sure you have the accommodations that you need, because if people wanted you there, they will make sure that you have everything that you need to produce, because once you're happy, you're going to make more profits for the company. Sensitivity and awareness training, just having training in teaching how to deal with different groups, understanding different cultural perspectives always gives you, a level of understanding. So what is a biased? I'm going to go over my minutes here, but I want to explain that biased means I'm taking a position on something. I'm taking a position on something that is outside of my peripherals. I did not do the research, but I'm going to stay here. You know what I mean? Like this is where I land. So that's biased. Prejudice is when I then say things and do things to harm you because I took a stance, saying hurtful things, talking about your religion or talking about your sexuality, or making political statements, which I feel is the lowest brow type of conversations to have at work, is to talk about politics, because politics, you're like, politicians are trained to lie about everything. And I mean that, they could be talking about whatever, it could be in the news, but you have to realize there's a difference between legalese and what a politician says. Politicians are trained to manipulate the language so that it appeals to a certain demographic. They're not always objective. So we have to remember that some of these conversations are very harmful in the workplace. And when you're operating from a bias, especially, and you're not doing your research yourself and you're not looking at different points of view, that's where that lies, right? And biased for ourselves, even for our own healing. When we operate from biases, that's what kind of stops us from healing through our healing journeys, right? So always, first and foremost, we don't always have to react to everything. That's a neurodiversity tip. Just because something happened doesn't mean you have to say something, doesn't mean you have to react. And B, get as much information before you act. And I'm going to actually show you how to do that with, ChatGPT. Actually, you could do that with, I would do that with Edge browser, because it's tied to the internet. And it's not like ChatGPT where you can just ask it a question. You can ask, is it really hot outside or whatever, and it will answer the question because it's connected to the internet. So use Edge browser to inform your decisions before you do anything, even legal advice. I'm not saying to use the legal advice. I'm saying get a perspective on things before you make decisions. Always give yourself time. You never are obligated to respond when someone asks you to respond.
Just to interrupt you there, Ryan. In the interest of accommodating you, we also scheduled this to be an hour and a half instead of an hour. So please don't feel stressed.
Okay. Okay, sounds
We're
good.
okay.
All right, awesome. So employee well-being, like just having fun and, respecting people's spaces and, like I don't like to go to company parties. Like I don't need to be a part of the company parties to team build. I have autism and sometimes I don't like to go to certain things and events. I don't even like to drink. I don't drink. So I don't like to be put in those situations. Don't put me in those situations. That's for my well-being. Everybody's going to be different. Some people need to talk. Some people need to do that stuff. But as long as it doesn't, hit the bottom line, then it's okay. But remember, folks, unmasking is self-affirming. When you just be yourself, regardless of how people receive you, you're going to be the happiest. You're going to sleep at night better. Your best friend will be your pillow because you are self-affirming. You don't always have to come into work to smile. You don't have to be the chippiest person in the room. You don't even have to put your camera on. You can take it off, right? You don't have to participate in the meeting. I'm not saying that, but for the sake of the presentation, you don't have to participate in the meeting. Ask for transcripts, right? There's so many ways of being able to create inclusive environments for people, so it's adaptive. All the things that I've mentioned are cheap. They're cheaper than free resources. The company doesn't have to pay for you not to show up. Like you can get transcripts and read it and still understand what happened in the meeting. You don't have to participate. The reality is that there's more than one way to address problems, and that's what forms community. There's a saying, God unites and the devil divides. And I'm not religious, but it is really awesome because what it says is that, we are uniting, meaning we're living in harmony. Principles of harmony is doing what works for me that works for everybody else. If you are suffering because of what I'm doing and how I'm living my life, then we got to find some sort of negotiation, because everything is a negotiation. We can always negotiate. We can always tell people what they need and also understand what they need. And again, let's not operate from a bias. Let's understand the room around us so that we can form better community. Okay, so I'm going to go into some signs of things to keep in mind. Now, actually, I'm going to show you, because this is an interactive presentation, and I'm just going to break from the PowerPoints. This is called bionic reading. Bionic reading is even better than dyslexia font because it benefits even individuals with who has ADHD and stuff. It actually highlights half of the word, so it keeps your eye focused on the page, and it's very easy to read. So can you guys see that? Like, doesn't it keep your eyes anchored onto the screen? And you can get the app. You can also get browser extensions for reading. And I'm here to tell you, you don't have to read. There's other ways of doing things and other ways of getting understandings of things. So I'm going to go into my presentation and I'm going to show you, or I'm going to go into Canva, and I'm actually going to show you, actually, I'm in the wrong Canva account. I'm going to show you different types of language that we use in our, let's see where we got it here. I know I created it. Okay, well, it's not here. But essentially, there is technical language, semi-technical language, there's layman's language, simple terms, and, you know, and then words broken down so that a child can understand. So I'm going to say it again. Technical, semi-technical, layman's, simple terms, and terms that children can understand. Any 5 of those, we transpose ourselves within those forms of language, and depending on where we transpose, that's where we'll understand what we're trying to learn, right? So not everything has to be you know, explained in a certain way, because there's multiple ways of doing things. So we're actually going to just take, I'm going to just write a complicated explain. I'm going to go to ChatGPT, explain E equals MC squared. Okay, ooh la la, look at that. I don't understand the well, we know it's energy means mass, da 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 da. Okay, but if you see, this is technical language, okay? Kind of semi-technical, because technical language is localized for the person that the messages, or the message is meant for. Okay, so doctors, they read research papers, highly technical, because these are specialized words that are facts and figures. So think technical, facts and figures. Okay, technical, facts and figures. Quick and easy for the doctor to be able to read and get the job done, because, you know, they're operating on someone or they got to do their job. So technical language is highly specialized. You have to practice it. You have to understand what those words mean. They're very hard to pronounce, but they're very specific. They are very specific to what it is that you're learning. And that's where you lose me. Semi-technical is when you mix in a little bit of technical knowledge, but then you explain what that is. So if you say majigger, you know, thingamajigger, this is what it means. And that's semi-technical. So that's most textbooks and whatnot. They have the technical knowledge, and it's a little bit more wordy, takes more time to read, but, you know the difference between that. If you don't have reading problems, but you do have problems with technical, then ask it to be semi-technical, right? You can always transpose into things. So make this semi-technical. That's how you use, oh, I spelt it wrong, but ChatGPT is inclusive, doesn't care. So now it broke it down into semi-technical language. Okay, and then, and then from there, layman's terms. Layman's terms is for the layman, for the everyday, the average person, the neurotypicals and individuals that just need to have a grasp of what it is, but we really don't need explanation, right? So I'll ask it sometimes to break it down to layman's terms, and it will be, most of the times layman's terms is supposed to be short. And layman's terms, what makes layman's terms so powerful is that layman's terms uses universal words that, layman's terms uses universal words that everyone knows and understands. So that means every complicated thing that you know of on the planet can be explained in any type of language, right? So always remember to transpose the language if you don't understand it. If it's too complicated, just say, explain to me in layman's terms, or explain to me in simple terms, and simple terms just reduces all the fluff and the explanations. It gets to the point, right? And I always say, break it down to me in bullet points so that I can see sequential information and I can browse through it quickly, or I'll say, give me 5 words, give me 6 words. Don't give me more than 5 or 6 words to explain each thing and preserve the meaning of it. And he usually does that for me. And then explain to me like a child. I do that a lot. Okay. Now, I'm going to break. Because we're neurodivergent, I'm going to show you some new stimuli. I created my own math. I created my own form of math, and I call it event math. It is very powerful stuff. And I'm going to just show you how powerful it is. I'm going to just type it in, event math, and ChatGPT. I'm going to say, hey, what do you think about event math? And ChatGPT is going to tell you, event math is an intriguing and innovative approach to representing mathematical operations and timelines and events and intervals, da 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 da. I created my own math, and ChatGPT validated that this math is very powerful. So I'm going to show you my math today. This is a math without numbers. So essentially, again, we don't need to see, the whole study of mathematics is creating your own mathematics. And a lot of people don't tell you that. But, it's, for me, because I have dyscalculia, I have a hard time conceptualizing numbers. And the way that I think, I said, you know what? Why don't I just create my own math without numbers? So I'm like, well, I need some value. So what I did is use 3 values, past, present, and future, because those are fixed. There's something that my brain can remember at any given time. So I'm going to show you a new form of math in a few seconds, and you'll probably get it faster than you ever got math in your life. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you this. I'm in Figma. I'm going to just go here. Okay, so this is event math. So essentially what event math is taking mathematical concepts and turning them into temporal spatial understanding, because for dyslexics, we think on the temporal spatial part of our brains when it comes to language. We actually don't store the language in a neural network like neurotypicals do. So the same applies with mathematical concepts, even though it's a frontal lobe thing, and there's another term called P something, but anyway, so I can't really see visualized numbers. So what I did is I created events. So 1 + 1 = 2 could mean 5. It could mean 1 + 1 could equal 10. It could equal anything. We attached values to numbers because numbers are symbols, but they're variables. They can mean anything, and it's hard for my brain to conceptualize. So I created 1 + 1 = 2 in a different way. I said event 1 and event 2. So when I press the plus button, that means extend the duration of the event, because everything that happens with math is an event. Okay, so we're going to go back. And I'm just going to show you something here. And you see the values, beginning, present, and future. So when it happened, when you put 2 events together, that's the present, and it extends to the future. So those are my values. So I'm going to go back, and I'm going to show you minus. So as you know, it's taking something out of the event. Okay. Now, let me just go back. It's kind of buggy. Okay, and then we're going to go to multiplications, which is my favorite one. Never was when I was a child, when they told us to come up on the chalkboard. But did you know that multiplication is overlapping events? So having two events happen at the same time. So think about driving, right? There's miles per hour. There's the distance and the speed, right? When you overlap those concepts, you get a value. So multiplication is taking two events, and it could be anything. It could be MC squared. All of those events, when you understand the variables, they actually overlap with each other and become one event. Isn't that fascinating? Right? And then I'm going to go back. Let me just it's not let me go back. Okay, let's see if I can go back. I did this morning, so I apologize. What's division? Division is not dividing your timeline into 5. Division is actually splitting the timeline into 2 events. Right? Powerful. When I'm telling you event math will revolutionize the way that we see mathematical concepts, I'm going to show you this in practice. Okay, so I'm going to go back and we're going to just go to exponents. Exponents, it means press play. So once you you extend the timeline, you reduce the timeline, you overlap some concepts to see how they work together, then press play. And then it cycles how many times you set, right? Because exponents could be, 10 to 7, right? Just think of exponents repeating itself. So think of the play button when you're pressing play. Okay. Let me go back. And then square root. Square root is rewind. And you notice how there's no proportion here. It just goes to the present. Because we are going into the present is a specific moment in time. So rewinding back to a specific, a part of the timeline, that is exponents. So if I combine all of this together and say event math and explain to me, translate E equals MC squared in event math, and then this is what ChatGPT does. It breaks down event math into variables. So it says E is for energy, mass, and for speed of light, right? And then I'm going to get it to multiply. So I'll ask it overlap these concepts for me, because multiplication is overlap. Then it shows you different, it shows you, it's breaking things down. The way I have it set up is in a specific way, but normally what it will do is it'll take all these different variables and it will overlap it and explain what the overlap is and how it interacts. I don't need to know the multiplication. I just need to be able to visualize that's what's happening, so that when I go to my calculator, I know exactly what's happening. Because before, when I looked at a mathematical concept, I couldn't understand what it was doing, because it lacks present, it lacks past, it lacks future. So for me, I can't place it in my 3-dimensional space. So event math is so powerful that I can break down any concept, any math, any science, physics, trigonometry. I can break down any concepts and break it down into event math. And I say that all to say that it brings us back to the presentation. Where am I? Hopefully this didn't go over anyone's head, but it's a way for me to understand it. But again, it's just a way for us to be able to get, to be able to just be inclusive, to be able to operate and get the concepts just like everybody else, but doing it in our own ways. So where is my presentation? I thought I had it. Oh, I think
I think it was on the other account, Ryan.
The other account. Thank you. Okay, here, let's go. I think I see I have memory issues here. So, okay, so over, so there's little signs that, you can kind of, with event math, I kind of broke things down into different states, like overloaded, right? When a timeline is overloaded, how do you know a timeline is overloaded? Is when you're stressed out. So maybe you need to remove some events from the event math. If you're stressed, that means you have too much on your plate. Did you need to get all of those things done on your plate? No, because you're not going to get them done anyways, right? Probably 20% of your day or 80% of your day is going to be spent on 20% of the tasks. And, 20% of your day is going to be on 80% of those tasks. So, just keep that in mind, that always work on the priority stuff, because the priority stuff is always going to have an impact on your life as a neurodivergent. You'll know that your day is good when you're well balanced. When you feel well balanced and you feel like everything is going good, that means you don't have a lot stuff on your plate, or you don't have nothing on your plate. You kind of need to have a balance of both. So when you don't have enough on your plate, you're underutilized. If you feel underutilized, you can tell your boss, hey, I need more work to do. I need more challenges. Okay. Redundancy. Try to eliminate as much redundancy. If you see things happening, if you're neurodivergent, redundancy kills us. What do you think happens when a dyslexic is reading? Our brains are looking, because it's a phonological processing disorder, our brains are actually looking at the words on the page that are irrelevant to us because we can't visualize them in our brain, like the and of, and things like that. So our brain will remove them off the page. So we'll be reading, and then we'll like, and then you forgot to say a word. You forgot to say a word because your brain was already reducing the redundancy, because we operate in a side of our brain that does not, it's not a neural network. It's a visual spatial area and memory. So it tries to reduce as much load on the brain as possible. So whenever you see dyslexic symptoms or ADHD symptoms, a lot of it is because of just being overwhelmed with the same stuff. So try your best to delete the files off your desktop. Delete the stuff that are not important. Always put emphasis on the priorities. Synchronization. You know when things are going, when things are flowing, and you're overlapping with other individuals and you're working together. So always look for that within your workspace environments. When you're not synchronizing, you feel isolated, right? You're not feeling good. You feel like you're by yourself. That means you're not working with your team and using your resources. That's the overlap area of event math, is that you should be overlapping, because overlapping always reduce it. Like when you times things, it just grows things. It creates new things, creates new opportunities. If you're working by yourself, you're not collaborating. Infinite loop. Having things happening all the time that's more than what you if things are repeating, means that there's an inefficiency somewhere. You find yourself really upset doing a job over and over again and having to go through these extra processes. You may want to talk to your higher ups and say, hey, reduce this. This is actually irrelevant, right? Because again, I told you earlier that the mental health can cause brain damage. Putting an employee through that, we're not really measuring it. That's why we're not talking about it. But if we started measuring how it impacts our brains, they would eliminate some of these things, these extra things. out of our, like, do we have to go to a meeting every day? Do we have to? Why can't those meetings be an email? You kind of know when you have a flow is when there's a controlled loop. When you have a controlled loop, that means, you can predict the outcomes that are happening and things are flowing. And then I'm going to just skip past all of this stuff. If you guys want this presentation, I will send it to you. But we're going to go down to the technology. So before, I was just explaining to you, just to recognize these simple things around your environment. Use your heart as a compass and use your heart as a gauge. If you feel a microaggression, then do something about it. If you feel like something is wrong, that is because you are tipping over into one direction. In karate, we say, like in karate, is balance is the same as weight. If you're too on one side, you're going to fall over. So always use your heart as a compass. Always use your intuition as a compass. If you don't feel something, if you don't feel right about something, you do whatever it takes to keep yourself in a state of mind where there's peace, because when you're in the state of mind of peace, you get things done and you're productive. So I'm going to break this up and show you some of the technology. So shortwave. This is an amazing tool for neurodivergence because shortwave, I don't get because you guys ever go into your emails and get overwhelmed and almost like you don't want to look at your emails in the morning?
Yes.
So shortwave eliminates all of that. So essentially, you can pin the emails that you're working on and place priority. This means you don't have to use the project management tool. You can turn your emails into tasks, essentially. So I was working on, so I have 4 things that I have to do on my list. I put them up, I pin them, I can schedule them to be reminded, I can delete them, or I can check them off. And once it's checked, it goes into the archive. Okay. This is the best email tool that I ever had. It also groups emails because we get overwhelmed with seeing redundancy. So what does it do? It creates groups for receipts and all this other stuff. Very amazing tool. And then Candace, let's in your email. Let's summarize the email. It has AI technology. It's $9. It summarized the email for me. What else can it do? Identify action items. Right? Offer critique. You could do all of that.
That's not fair. Oh no.
Draft a reply. Right? Copy and paste. Look forward to doing, and I didn't have to do a damn thing. So that is 90% of your day gone. Now you could be more productive doing other things. Okay? So pinning, then you can put your favorite contacts, your favorite clients into a bar here. Right? So very easy, very intuitive, more up my alley, and you put priority on the things that require priority. Like this is one of my clients. It's a priority. So I put it up there. The rest is spam, and I can just press this button and it all goes away. Okay. So that's tool number 1. Wellybox. It's from the UK. Wellybox goes through your email. Wellybox goes into your email and gets all your receipts. So you're doing taxes. And all of the receipts, I have all of my receipts organized, categorized. Everything is done through Wellybox. How many of you have known about Wellybox? How many of you would benefit? Raise your hand from Wellybox. Right? To do your taxes. That's all of that gone, eliminated from your workspace. Okay, so you've probably heard of Scribe for telling people what to do, especially if you're a virtual assistant, having to train your clients, having to, show people how to do certain things, to communicate. I love Scribe because as soon as I turn it on, okay, let me just turn it on. Okay, so I'm going to turn it on, start capturing. So, you do your normal tasks. I'm going to go here, I'm going to go here, I'm going to go here, and then stop it. And then it breaks everything down into tasks or into like step-by-step guides. 90% of your workload gone if you're neurodivergent. No longer have to explain things to people. It has little cool animations and you can embed it on your website. It has so many use cases, but Scribe is amazing. Let's go back to Midjourney. So if some of you are web developers and web designers, now we can go into Midjourney and I'm going to show you something cool. With Midjourney, you no longer need Photoshop. Okay, so when I log in, it's on Discord. You can go online. The reason why I'm saying this because you've all probably encountered some sort of text to image. But I'm going to tell you how to shorten your workflow if you're a virtual assistant and you need to get things done for your client. Okay. You can essentially, yesterday I did this was a mock-up of a client that I did using this prompt, right? You could do any sort of website design and get them to map out what it's going to look like, get a mock-up of the UI, right? And then you take it. So I'm going to just take one of these. Let's go over here. Let's go over here. Take one of these. Okay, I really like this one. So I take it into Canva. Okay. Now what? Well, this is what I do. If it was a high resolution image, of course. Edit the photo. Magic edit. Remove. Or no, this is not the eraser. So this is the eraser. So we remove, and then look at what Canva does. Canva uses AI, and it removes the object from the background. And it's pretty good at it. So if you did the whole thing, you can essentially create your website using these visual elements, and they're all high resolution too. When you download the high resolution image, and you could take it into, you guys notice this theme. If I take it into to Figma, essentially that's what I did for my client. I took one of those themes and I created my own version using the elements from Midjourney. Before I had to go to Photoshop and edit and change and all this other stuff. You don't got to do that with Midjourney. Now Midjourney, you can isolate objects, you can change it. There's all kinds of things to do that. Let's go back to what else do we have as for tech? So we got Canva, we have Midjourney, ChatGPT. Obviously, I showed you how to use some of the things. Cockatoo, my favorite thing, because I take transcripts And it's the cheapest transcription tool in the marketplace and gives you unlimited transcriptions. You have to go to rev.com to pay for all of that stuff. It's very quick, very easy. This is Jordan Peterson transcripts because I want to debate him. And so I just take it, save it as text. Okay. Go into ChatGPT, go into code analysis, and essentially I can upload the file to ChatGPT and say, find all of the fallacies in this speech. Because us dyslexic, we get manipulated when people are arguing with us, and so before I even talk to you, I take your transcripts, run it through the code identifier, and then I got a trick for that ass. And I'm sorry, I had to say it, but that is what it is. It is a trick for that ass. You will never out-debate me. People on Facebook now don't even reply back anymore because everything is being done by ChatGPT. So let's see what ChatGPT has to say. It's almost done. I think I don't think it's thinking. So give it a few seconds, and then I'm going to show you something very powerful, folks, because the next thing I'm going to tell you is going to be such a lifesaver, and it's going to make you into digital stem cells. No, it's worse. So anyways, what it will do is it will go through the list. You kind of get the point. I'm going to actually jump into something else quickly. Base Chat, it's called Chat Base. It's your own ChatGPT bot. So when I'm tired of ChatGPT and I want to take data, I can upload textbooks, PDFs, and have it analyze the PDFs. I did a book on dyslexia. Give me the highlights on this book. Okay, and I spelled highlights wrong. Whatever, who cares? No, it didn't understand. Highlights of dyslexia. It will summarize any PDF for you. You could go on anybody's website and get a summary on their website. Okay? I'm saving y'all a lot of money, okay? And you're making a lot of money with these tools today, okay? So let's go back to ChatGPT. No, it didn't want to, maybe it doesn't like Jordan Peterson. But let's, let me see here. Let me grab this is actually a code analyzer. So I had statistics done for my social media. And let me just see if I can find it. Give me 1 second here. TikTok, calibrated dyslexia. Okay, so I had my social media analyzed and put on a spreadsheet, okay? So this spreadsheet, I just upload it to ChatGPT and say, give me an analysis of this data because I want to be famous. Okay, so what it's going to do, it's going to start thinking. And this is where you're going to save yourself a lot of time making decisions, because the whole thing is that a lot of us, we don't really make really good decisions because we don't have the data. But could you imagine uploading a spreadsheet to AI and having AI break everything down for you? So give it a few seconds. Oh, it's almost done. Oh, it's not doing it. Hold on. I don't know why it's choosing not to do that for me today. Okay, look. Okay, good. So while it's working, it will show you, it will break down everything and put it into graphs. It will break everything down and allow you to make informed decisions based on your data. I don't know why it's not working for me now, but we'll just move on to the next thing. Book like a boss. This is probably the most, if you are a professional, the most way. I don't send invoices anymore. You know why? Because I got Book Like a Boss. Because Book Like a Boss is like a mini e-commerce website where people can book your services. So all your testimonials are there. I got Renee Taylor from The Nanny on here. You know, I have all my products here. People buy it. My portfolio's there. It's like a one-page website, and it gets to the point. Gives you everything that you need, and people pay, and I get paid, and I move on, right? You know, no more going back and forth. You know, there's different calendar tools, but I find that this is really good for professionals, to just put your products in products, right? Like put your services as products. Charge for your time extra. You know, don't like remember if you're building websites, if you're doing anything that requires service, charge for your time plus the product. Because as soon as you get paid, that money has already depreciated. Nobody can put time on, no one can put value on your time. Your time is worth millions of dollars. As soon as you trade your time for money, you are reducing your value. Not saying you shouldn't have a job. I'm just telling you that you need to add more products. Add products separate. Don't get into the trap of selling a website or a graphic design for $135 because we know you're spending more than an hour on that job if you're professional. So charge for your time because they appreciate, because it costs time, and then charge for the product. If the person can't afford it, you are not dealing with someone that did a business plan. Let me say that again for some of the people in my back, right? Do not think for 1 second that people who run big corporations can't afford to pay you for your time. They have an HR department for it. So when you're doing freelance work, only work with those that have HR departments. Only work for those companies that deal with personnel. Doesn't matter what department, IT department or whatever, deal with those individuals because that's where you'll get the big bucks, right? You won't get the big bucks from the mom and pop because they did not do their due diligence and they can't afford to put you on salary, right? So a lot of creatives, a lot of virtual assistants get themselves caught up still trying to figure out a way to pay their bills because you've reduced your time. And every time you spend on that project doing revisions, that's another client that came in the door that you couldn't serve. That was your son's recital that you couldn't go to. That's all the important things happen when you're working for somebody else. So, you know, be enterprising and ensure that you're not only getting paid for your time, but you're being paid for the products. Because the more you work on those products, the less you get paid. You're just working less than minimum wage. I've done this for 20 years of my life, working less than minimum wage for no reason, you know, until I changed my attitude. Okay. So the ChatGPT is not working, which is okay. You don't have to work for me today. Maybe if I just do this. Really wanted to show you this, but you guys get the point.
Yeah, I'm making a list, Ryan, of all of the scripts and things that you're talking about, and we'll add those to the Lunch and Learn in the hub so that people can try it out for themselves.
Awesome. Now, Descript. Okay, Descript is one of the best tools that I have used because Descript will take and transcribe your stuff, but will also, you can also create your own AI voice. So I'll take this and bring it into Descript. I'm not going to open Descript, but it will essentially say it in my AI voice. And then I can, you know, essentially create videos next to nothing and have that video explain everything using my voice. So maybe I should just show you because, you know, it is worth the try. And I'm going to actually go to another one because I think I just want to just show you the example of how it makes my voice sound. Okay, so let's see here. No. I've been using this for some time. So, you know, essentially you could take it. Oops, try to avoid special characters. I didn't put any special characters. Oops, avoid special characters. I don't think it likes the fact that I'm using the word descript, maybe? Okay, let me just change the voice. Change it to mine. Let's see if it works. Of course, it doesn't during.
It's the only tool you need to write, record, transcribe, edit, collaborate, and share your videos and podcasts.
So my voice, I get a lot of things done. You know, if I need to explain something to somebody, I just do that. Then I go to Pictory. I go to Pictory.com, which is the best video editing software, you know, when you want to get things done on the fly. Because us professional editors, you know, I worked with Sharon Gless and all these things. Sometimes I got to use the tools that are available to me. So I put that in there, put my script in there, and then it creates a video using stock photos and everything. And this is Pictory.com. It creates a video based on my text, and then I can upload my voiceovers that I created in Lovo or in Descript, and it will match the voiceovers, and it will keep the timing. And there goes video editing.
I think that's really cool, Ryan, because I have some of my clients get a little bit scared with doing like reels and social media posts and stuff. So I feel like that will definitely like take the fear out of it, because then it's not like they can still use their voice and they can still make the videos, but they don't have to like, you know, be that person on the camera and get nervous about it.
Exactly. And then WizTree. Exactly. It's a time saver. And you know content. You just have to be careful. If you're trying to monetize on YouTube, it won't work, but it will work on, you know, TikTok and all those other things. So WizTree, this is a software that you can download onto your computer for Windows only, because Mac has a really good searching system. But you can search all your files on your computer within seconds. It doesn't take forever to look for things. So it indexes everything quickly, and then it gives you visuals. It gives you visuals of where the concentration of your data is. So if I want to delete things, I can just see the graph and delete to my heart's content, right? No more looking for files. I can search for literally everything and I get it right there. It will look for names in the file name extension. It will look for everything. It will search everything, but it's quick. So this is a tool that I use. So we said WizTree, and then I meant to say VidJuice. VidJuice is a software that you can download all your videos to your computer, like from YouTube, so you can transcribe it. Because a lot of times I'll take it into ChatGPT to summarize, you know, because I don't want to sit there all day long, you know, analyzing something when I could just take the transcripts and just summarize it for myself. You know, I learn so much that way, and I get things done. And then Figma, we all know about Figma. And then Berrycast. Berrycast is a really cool tool for recording your recording your desktops. You know, recording, it's like Loom, but I found it was cheaper and it just works better for me. And then Scribe, Bionic Reader. I think we're it. I think that's it. So folks, that's the end of my presentation, and I'm going to open the floor for questions this time. And then the other thing too is that what I am trying to secure some, sponsorship or brand deals for my social media accounts. And I'm looking to put a collection of testimonials together, video testimonials or just normal testimonials. The video testimonials work the best because then they can see the person behind the message, and that's always helped me as a neurodivergent because I'm not really good at explaining myself. So if I'm just asking, I know people are shy, if you could do a video testimonial, that would be great. That would mean a lot, because that has the most impact. But if you could do a text testimonial, that's just as great. And to show gratitude, I'll also send you my link to PayPal. If you ever want to, if you're following me and you want your support and just donate, by all means, I ask, and you should all ask, if you're content creators, ask people to support you as a content creator, because we spend a lot of time doing this stuff. And I have a book coming out called Pathway to the Heart. You can sign up to the e-blast list. So when the book comes out, I can let you know when it's coming out, when it came out. I've already written 2 books already, and I'll just show you here quickly. Sleek bio. I created a book, Logical Fallacies for Dyslexics. So you want to prevent someone from manipulating you. Logical fallacies for dyslexics. I broke it down into language that I broke it down into language that a child would understand, explaining how to identify the difference between when someone is insulting your character as opposed to staying on topic. So I address all the logical fallacies there. And I am I'm evolutionizing the way that we read books by doing adult books for children, or sorry, children books. See, dyslexia. Children books for adults, not adult books for children. Like, geez, get it together, Ryan. See, that's the problem with dyslexia. You need to give me some room and some space. But so this is called I Caught You Cheating, and essentially is about. I'm actually going to show you the book. It's kind of funny book, but I wanted to make it funny, and then it actually turned into me just being a poet and, wanting to tell a story. And essentially it's, it's called I Caught You Cheating by Ryan Perez, a children's book for adults. So all of these books will be on Amazon, but you can purchase them if you go to my link tree on Digital Stem Cells. So essentially it says, I placed a GPS under his seat in hopes his secret route I'd meet. Every twist and turn I could view, and yet he just drove straight to the zoo. So it's a tale of trying to find her husband cheating, or her boyfriend cheating, and not succeeding until the very end. There's pictures and all that good stuff. And I'm going to be doing a lot of books like this for mental health and for neurodiversity, breaking down the most complex problems and putting it in a form of a children's book so that we can all understand. So not that I think that people are dumb. It's just that, it's light, and, you can read this with your friends and so on and so forth. So if you want to support me, you can go to you can go to Sleek Bio / digital stem cell, and you can purchase this book, you can purchase that book, you could donate, and so on and so forth. And then you can add your name to the mailing list if you want an update of when my actual book will drop. So that is it. So open for questions, and thank you so much. If I can.
Wow. That was a lot. Thank you, Ryan. So Stacy has a question, and I know Tamara has a question that she put in the chat previously, and then we'll get to the rest of the questions. So go ahead, Stacy.
Yeah, Ryan, I had a question about shortwave.
Yep.
Because a lot of us manage or have, just for the nature of being a VA, multiple email addresses that we have to monitor. So for example, I not only monitor one for Catherine, right, that have there, but I have like 4 other clients that I have to monitor those as well. Do you know if shortwave allows you to monitor multiple email addresses, or is it just one?
Yeah, I'll show you here. And how's it going, Stacy? I'm always appreciative of you. Stacy has been very accommodating. Let's see here. Let me go back to my screen.
Stacy was who introduced us to Ryan in the first place, so we're very thankful for her too.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. It's so awesome. So shortwave, you can take anyone's emails. I actually bought this because of Catherine, because the amount of emails that I get, and I want to make sure, because I have VIPs and I know they're lurking and they're staring at me right now. For example, let's just take, hey Ryan, the upcoming events is misplaced. Let's see here. Okay, so I can take any of these. Let's just take this. I'm just trying to find a client. Elements. Inspire. I'm just trying to find one that is a lot that I haven't done much with yet. So, okay, so let's take Krista, for example. So I'm going to just open her. I don't know why it's not allowing me to select her name. Okay, right here. So it allows you to select the name. All the emails go into that for, for Krista, right? So you just go to the gear and you can block the sender. You can always have it go into the inbox, deliver to inbox immediately, or you could schedule it for later, and then you could push the notifications, and then you can favorite it, and then they're all right there. It's pretty quick. You don't have to create any rules, and you can monitor multiple emails from there. Are you saying managing multiple email accounts, or?
Yeah, multiple email accounts. So like the one I have at Catherine, then I have one for another client, and then I have another one for another client, all different companies.
All different companies?
Yeah.
I don't think you can do that. I don't think I've seen that option, but I would definitely email them, because they're a really good company in terms of just, they're a new company, and I'm sure they're open to some feature requests.
Sure, I will reach out to them then.
Yeah.
Because that would be the dream, right? To be able to have every single email account that we have to monitor or look at come up in one space, and then be able to make action and to-do lists from that point. That would be.
Oh yeah, I think
that would be the ideal in my world.
Yeah, I think they have an enterprise version of this. So I think reach out to and discuss multi-seat pricing. So I think I think there is a way. I think you just have to pay for the enterprise version of it. But
right, I will reach out to them.
Awesome.
I'll stop hogging your time and let someone
else.
No,
that's all good. It's all good. So any other questions?
I think Tamara had a question for you.
Hi, Tamara.
I'm coming. Sorry, I had to minimize everything. So I have a 10-year-old who is super struggling in school with like tracking and reading and her neurodivergence as a whole. And while there's lots of really great talk in the school with her principal about getting her supports, it just hasn't actually happened. And we're now at least a year and a half behind in her schoolwork. Do you, if I were to hire you, could you do like some consulting with the school on her behalf? She just needs like an advocate that gets it, you know?
Yeah, I 100%. I would definitely advocate, because like my son just got diagnosed with dyslexia, and I created a bot for him using chat. I created a bot and I put all of his grade 9 material into a chat bot. So I took all the textbooks, put it into the chat bot, and then that's your teacher for the year. and a teacher assistant that you can ask, hey, explain that to me again, explain that to me multiple times. So coming this grade 9, I'm going to sit down with the teachers and say, this is what we're using. And because if you can't afford to give us the accommodations, which he has approved, but here are some additional things, because a lot of the people, when it comes to, that's why you need the advocates, is because a lot of people will use the DSM-5 as a resource for recommendations. And the DSM-5 is only based on observable behavior. It's not on anecdotal experiences, and we are living and breathing every day with these, with being neurodivergent, and we have a better understanding of what tends to work for us. And so having an advocate kind of break things down in a different way, because they'll say, oh, dyslexics think in 3D. No, we don't. We think in multi-dimensions, right? Or dyslexics see things backwards. No, it's not a visual disorder, because if we change the font, we can read it. So having people describe what's going on. And pardon?
Oh, sorry, my kiddo's friend called, so I just muted my phone.
No worries. So yeah, the whole idea is having multiple neurodivergent advocates, because everyone looks at it differently a little bit. There's not a one size fits all, but you could definitely hire me, and I would definitely do. I would recommend you hire me for 2 calls, one for you so that I can do a discovery and get it a basic understanding of what is actually the challenges. So, and then I would come into that meeting with a plan of action in a way, because the teachers sometimes dealing with the schools haven't been fun. So just getting on the same wavelength as you and understanding your child is best. But
yeah,
I just want to let everyone know, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a psychiatrist. Everything that I do is from an anecdotal experience. It will always be stuff that I use.
Well, and that's exactly it, because, I was thinking about this yesterday. I have all these things that I use for my neurodivergence, and I could teach it to the next person and say, oh, these really work well for me. But I have actually never gone from somebody that has like showing me step by step what works for them and then gone, I'm going to do it exactly like that. We never do it that way. It's like, we'll watch what everybody else does, and we're like, oh, that little bit works for me, and that little bit works for me. It can't just be black and white. And I feel like that's what they're pigeonholing her into. And it's just, and then her last teacher didn't believe in ADHD, so that's like a whole nother problem. But she's a protected student with a disability, so we have to get somewhere with it. But
it's very much a disability, because that's what impacts me a lot, is my ADHD. Even working in some of the intense environments that I'm in at home, it sometimes can be very traumatizing, right? So, the one thing I want to say about dyslexia just quickly is that when I did event math, I ran event math on dyslexia, and I realized that the criteria and the way that they measure dyslexia, the end game for dyslexia is for you to be able to sit through a class, be able to understand the message, have them reinforce the message, and then you become, a master. And if you're not a master, then they apply the accommodations. So here's how I read that. I read that dyslexics are just not programmable, because when neurotypicals read something, they can read something from left to right, and they immediately put it into their neural networks, and they can go back and have a level of understanding, because they can recognize new words, because dyslexia is broken down into recognizing new words, seeing it over and over again, sound blending and forming understanding, and then inputting your understanding into these neural networks in your brain, on the left side of your brain. Whereas dyslexics is on the other side. We use the opposite side, but that deals with more three-dimensional space and spatial reasoning, and we don't have the neural networks to recall. So what I heard by just analyzing the dyslexia is that I heard that dyslexics, we are just not programmable. You can't brainwash us. You can't brainwash us with curriculum. We actually need to be thrown into the environments that we want to learn in. Like, for example, if your child cannot read or is having a hard time reading, then label your drawers, label your walls, label everything so that they can form a memory with the everyday environments. Put it in a 3-dimensional space, and you'll see your child know the words and recognize the words. Because like for us dyslexics, and even for people with ADHD, you know, they visualize, and that's where the memory is stored. Because if you have short-term memory, your brain's going to try its hardest. So just being able to provide practical examples for these care professionals and for these people that don't have it gives them a perspective on how to deal with it.
Wow, thank you, Ryan. And Stacy actually has a question for our VAs. Is there anyone who is working with neurospicy clients? That's a really great question. I hate to admit I have not asked. That's really terrible of me to say, but I have not asked if my clients are neurospicy.
I ask all my clients, but that's because I am also ADHD. And actually, I think all of my clients have told me that they are. I bet you most of your clients are too. But yeah, like with one of
I would
them,
not be surprised.
was newly diagnosed. And so we worked a lot on just building up her tool set and helping her with her time blindness. And that was a huge problem for her. And once we got all of that done, she actually didn't, I don't think she even needed me in the end of it, because she was overwhelmed. And then she became unoverwhelmed. So, and then my other new ED is she's autistic. And so we've been working on tools as well. So yeah.
Awesome.
Cool. Brian, I actually have a question for you going way back in your presentation. Do you know of any workshops or anything like that that our VAs could take if they're working with neurospicy clients? How Candace and I, as community coordinators, we could make the hub more inclusive? Anything like that, resources we would love to know, because we are always working to improve our inclusivity, diversity, and all of that for everybody, not just our clients, but our VAs as well.
Yeah, I don't know of any workshops per se. I am writing these, like if you go onto TikTok, I have these sections called series. I actually created an inclusivity course that if you go to TikTok on your phone and go to calibrated dyslexia, all of those courses are there. So I have, first off, how to make money on YouTube, because, for neurospicy individuals, they also want to make money. So how to make like a YouTube masterclass for and then like fun games. But the one that I created was creating inclusive spaces for dyslexia. So it's a 21-minute course, or like a video series, and it essentially goes through, use multisensory teaching methods that engage different senses to support learning and comprehension. Yeah, so you can go there to purchase it, or I'm going to be launching a video website paywall service soon, where all of my courses and stuff will be there, so that you can purchase. You can pay a monthly fee and be able to just get access to it on the fly.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And we'll put those links, all of these links, we've been keeping track of them. So I put all of these links along with the slides and the video, and everything will be in our Lunch and Learn space. So you guys can go back and take a look at it, as well as all of the prompts and things that Ryan was using in ChatGPT. I made sure to write all of those down so that you can play around with them yourself and see how they work for you. Thank you so much, Ryan, for coming back and continuing the conversation. I think it's a really important conversation that we need to have more often. We appreciate you kicking that off for us and introducing us to some amazing tools. We had so much feedback as you were going through those and saying, oh my gosh, that's so amazing. How did that? That's so cool. So yeah. Thank you. We really appreciate you coming back, and we will make sure that we have a link to how to keep in touch with you and where we can find all of your stuff online, so that people can follow you and support you and do all of that.
Yeah, visit the Digital Stem Cell. That's where the more adult conversations I have, and I'm open about everything. I talk about childhood trauma, I talk about generational trauma, talk about racism. Sometimes I laugh and make fun of, Donald Trump, but joking. But I'll laugh at certain things, and I'm I'm just using the social media as a way of unmasking, and sometimes it's hard for me to do because I have professional clients that watch my stuff, and it's embarrassing, but I'm advocating for just for unmasking. So when you come into the space, just understand having autism, having dyslexia, and also ADHD. Yeah. It's just, I'm there. I'm over there and over there and over there. And I'm communicating with the aliens across the other universe. So, you are going to see, content that is going to be outside of your realm of understanding, but that's what the practice is being able to unmask and breaking down barriers. So,
we appreciate you doing that for us as well, for being vulnerable and for giving us all of this information and sharing your story. It's been a privilege to get this little glimpse of you and to be introduced to you. Thank you again, Stacey W., for putting us in touch with Ryan and giving us such an amazing resource and amazing person to get to know. So thank you again, Ryan. Thank you all for hanging in there with us and coming to this part 2. I think unless you have anything else you want to let us know, Ryan, I think we're going to wrap it up and let everybody get back to work.
We're good to go.
Perfect. Don't forget, if you love what Ryan had to say, please record a quick little video for him and let him know how much you appreciate it. We'll make sure to get his email out there so that you can send it to him. I know I will definitely be recording some stuff, and hopefully you all will too. So thank you so much, everybody, and we will see you for our next event.
Yeah, thank you so much.
See you later.
Hey, thanks, Ryan.
See you later.
Thank you.
Bye.